Hi there, Aquarius Sun and Rising. Welcome to your April 2023 Astro Update. It's Raina here. Alrighty then. So the two planets that have multiple um I was going to say the two areas, but I was just saying the two planets that represent two houses for you are that are having multiple transits in them in the month of April are Aries and Taurus, which is not really a shocker given that the sun is going to be in both of these signs during the month of April. And personal planets, stay close to the sun. However, because there are other planets that are also in these signs, we have to acknowledge that and say, wow, this is really something else. So, for instance, this is going to affect your third and fourth houses. Now, what are the third and fourth houses in astrology? In terms of what they might have in common, I would say there are two main areas. First of all, your family. The third house can be your siblings, your brothers and sisters, along with extended family members like aunts, uncles, and cousins. And remember that cousins are the children of aunts and uncles, so all of that is kind of like, it's not very distant. Some people actually consider their cousins to be, like their siblings because they were raised together. They're just very close to their sibling. I mean, to their cousins. So there might be new developments with that. And then the fourth house, we can say it's the mother. Some people say the father. We can just say family of origin, meaning the parents altogether. I like to think of it as the mother, personally. But anyway, there's that. And there could be like things going on with that. Now, let's say, you have something going on with a parent that you have to deal with the siblings or vice versa. That could be what is going on. Now, the other area where I see a connection is with your local area and your house. So the third house can be your local area, and that would include your local government, your neighbors are the third house, and the fourth house is your, I mean, yeah, I was going to say the fourth house is your physical house or equivalent dwelling. Where this could, really be potentially a big deal is like if you have plans to renovate. And actually, if you have had uh, plans to renovate, you might have had some kind of stop and go action because Mars was retrograding in Gemini for a few months until mid-January, and then it went direct again, and maybe that's when things started to progress. But you may have even had some, in the past, I'm talking about conflict with neighbors when Mars was in Taurus, but that would have been last summer when that happened. So yeah, I mean it's really something that um, is being resolved finally, but there still could be things going on. So let's just start from the beginning. On the 3rd of the month, Mercury goes into Taurus. This is that fourth house, and there could be communication with your mom, or, if you think of it, I guess either one of your parents. There could be some kind of contract with the house for some reason, and it could be their house. It could be your parents' house. Maybe it's your childhood home that is something that you have to discuss, sign documents for, what have you. You may be thinking about your childhood, and this can occur concurrently because a lot of times, if we have to deal with family, it's going to bring us back to the past. For Aquarians, this can be a little bit challenging because you are a sign that is not big on drama. You're not big on emotions. I'm not saying that you're completely soulless zombies. I'm saying that you just want to be rational in life. And I have I'm not an I'm a Sag, I'm not an Aquarian, but I would concur if you agree with the statement that emotions are irrational, because I really do believe that. And because of that, and what I mean by that is that I do think that sometimes they're understandable. I'm not saying people are crazy for having emotions, but they are based, they're very subjective. They're based on, sometimes they're based on distortions where, we get triggered by something that when we were children, we really exaggerated, or maybe it was emphasized in our life at that point, but it's not something that is true for us eternally. And therefore, we just overreact sometimes to things. And even if something really is, a very serious situation, it's not something that you really want to dwell on. You're the kind of person that, you're very forward looking, and you don't want to wallow in emotions. So this can be a bit disconcerting if something comes out that makes you think about the past and you're forced to relive something unpleasant, for instance. Now, of course, it doesn't have to be unpleasant, but remember that now you have Pluto in your sign. Yes, it's only 0 degrees, but it's still in your sign. And Pluto, is all about shadow work. So those Aquarians who think that they can just kind of, avoid dealing with some of the heavier things from the past, it's better to kind of like face it head on unflinchingly, because that way you're not resisting what is happening for you. And of course, you had this transit in your 12th house when it was in Capricorn, so it is going to go back into Capricorn. I think I heard another astrologer say until the end of 2024. I thought it was the beginning of 2024 when it goes into Aquarius for good and stays there for 20 years. But maybe it's because because it is going there for 20 years, it's going to be even a slower transit. That means that it doesn't gain much ground every year. It's kind of the way that even at the 15-year mark, which is what it was when it was in Capricorn, it just is very pokey. So, anyway, um, you're going to still have some of that karmic baggage to kind of eradicate. But it's a wonderful, it's very empowering, to tell you the truth. I mean, it might be a little bit hair raising at times, especially for an Aquarian. But when you emerge from this period, this 1-2 punch of Pluto through your 12th and then your first house, you know, what can you say? It's like amazing. Not everybody gets that opportunity in their lifetime to really excavate their karma plus and transmute it like alchemy, and then do the same thing with their conscious self and their conscious identity. So on the 6th we have a full moon at 16 degrees of Libra. This is a fellow air sign, and this is the 9th house for you, Aquarius. Are you, will you be ending a trip that you're taking? Will it, will this trip finally, come together? That's another possibility. Some of you may be graduating from college, and I'm not just talking about 20 somethings. You might be 30 or 40 something and you're graduating from college, and it really means a lot to you because you stuck with it. This could be ending like a teaching gig at a college. This can be a spiritual download. This is the God house, the ninth house. And it could be about, how you choose to live your life. That kind of philosophical angle. On the 11th, Venus goes into Gemini, yet again, another air sign. Both, these two signs, Libra and Gemini being air signs, they trine you. So it's a very cooperative energy. This is the fifth house of love and creativity. So Venus here is very nice to have. This is also a house of pleasure. You can meet someone, you could fall in love. You could have, you had Mars in this house for 7 months. So if you had like an ongoing kind of an affair, because the fifth house can be that kind of, it's actually, the name for it is recreational sex. But in Mars can be the sex drive. So some Aquarians might have been very randy during this period and just engaged in a bunch of affairs. But this is love to me. This is more of a romantic thing. Also, because Venus can be money, you could earn some money from the business that you own. If you started a business and just been twiddling your thumbs waiting for the profit, it to turn a profit, maybe this is the time for it to happen. This could also be making money through your art. On the 19th or 20th, depending on where you live, we have a solar eclipse at 29 degrees of Aries. So this is the third house, again with the siblings. You also have Jupiter in this area as well as Chiron. Recently, there was a conjunction between Jupiter and Chiron, which could have had a very healing effect for some people. But this is a solar eclipse. It's going to be very close to that fourth house cusp because it's at 29 degrees and 50 minutes of Aries. So it could actually be something where it's dealing with home matters as well, because there is that connection that I have made between the third and the fourth house in that area. Maybe a new neighborhood has opened up for you, and therefore a new home too. And because Uranus is your ruler, is transiting the fourth house of home and family, Aquarius, you may have sudden changes in your living situation. So, it could be like suddenly you have a change of address. Some of you may have moved already a few times, but anything is possible, and that could involve real estate matters, maybe even the opportunity to buy could come about. Because Jupiter will be going into that fourth house in May. And, that just adds to the possibility of maybe expanding, getting a bigger house, bigger property in some way, or like more land or something like that. And so, yeah. And then a few hours after that solar eclipse, the sun goes into Taurus, the fourth house. So the fourth house becomes really indicated. But also with the third house, there could be like opportunities for teaching, if that is your field. Maybe because you've graduated, and if you have a degree in education, you immediately get hired. And you have the pick of the litter, or whatever you want to call it. You can choose what you want because there's so much to choose from. Because Jupiter is here too. Also, this is the house of social media, so that could be even like going viral. Becoming, making a name for yourself online. for some reason. And then the sun goes into that fourth house, and then the very next day on the 21st, you have a Mercury retrograde at 15 degrees of Taurus. So if you are planning to buy property, it may be delayed. There, you have to look at the documents, make sure that everything is correct. They say don't sign documents during Mercury retrogrades, but of course, sometimes something may come about on the spur of the moment, and it would be beyond foolish to say, oh, I'm sorry, I know this is a great deal, but I'm going to wait 3 weeks, 3.5 weeks. Maybe I'll wait 5 weeks until it goes out of the shadow period, and then I'll sign the document, and then somebody else comes along and gets the house. So, consider the risk factor, whatever you're doing, but just being careful could solve that problem. But you might have, if you're planning to move, it might be delayed. Watch out for miscommunication with one of your parents. Misunderstanding, that could be what is going on, and then that creates complications. Obviously, this is a fast-moving planet, so things get sorted out. It's not the end of the world, but just, letting you know. And then Mars is in Cancer all month long. This is the 6th house for you. So this is an area where some of you may be like, as I record this, Mars is still in Gemini, because it's the 22nd of March when I'm recording this, and Mars goes into Cancer on the 25th of March. And so it has been in your 5th house for the longest time, for like 7 months. And then if you're listening in March, it goes into Cancer on the 25th of March. And then that is your 6th house. And so you may be like unleashed and just like working your butt off for whatever reason. You may be working out. This is the house of health. You may be doing some kind of physical exercise that for your health that for some reason you were prevented from doing for a while. Maybe you had some health condition where you weren't allowed to exercise, or some kind of operation or what have you, and now you're like, oh my God, I got to get back into it. Well, obviously, if something like that did occur, it would probably be wise to ease into it so that you don't, re-injure yourself. But this could be for some people that you're really chomping at the bit to work. Maybe if for some reason you didn't have the opportunity to work and now you do, you're like taking advantage of it. Watch out for any kind of infighting with co-workers. The 6th house can be co-workers, and Mars can be aggression or otherwise like competitive actions or conflict in general. So just watch out for that. But sounds like a good situation going, especially with like real estate, home, family matters. That's what I have for you, Aquarius. I hope that this resonated. If you would like a private reading, the link is below. Take care. Bye.